A soul for a soul, as they say. Today, the 9.5.0 PTB dropped, but of course I'm not posting this that week because I have a more important video going out, to me personally, going out on the 25th instead. So I'm going to schedule this for March 4th, which, hey future me, I hope your new job's going okay. Hooray! But for the 9.5.0 PTB, there's been the main things: the Trickster rework, the new survivor, and the new map. I'll be covering this in order of what I deem most important. I'll be touching on everything. So the main three things we're going to get out of the way: map, killer, survivor, because I know that's what people care about most. I'm a killer main, so I'm putting the killer in front of the survivor when talking about it. The new map is the Dream Trickster map that everyone wanted for literal years since the release. I personally would have preferred a Blight Alchemy map because I just think the idea of a Black Veil hideout map would be really cool to bring to the game, and it could be like a future quote-unquote version of the Temple of Purgation. So it's like the Black Veil took over after Adiris went away. I just think that'd be a cool idea. But the map itself is the most gorgeous map we've ever had in this game. It is probably the only map in the game that I think looks better without filters on, due to how bright the lights, the neon lights are when you have filters on. And I am probably going to start not running filters just for this map because, or at least take them off for this map in specific. You'll see some footage in the background of filters coming on and off because I played about 2 hours of PTB to get enough background footage, as well as a little bit more offline to maybe showcase some stuff that I'll put in the background of this video. The looks, the aesthetic, the little Easter eggs of hearing Trickster bang again, like kill people in their garages, the amount of dead bodies, the amount of references to Trickster, as well as the supposedly set cosmetic of turning him into a VTuber woman, which unconfirmed but heavily hinted that we're getting that as a skin when this chapter launches on March 17th, I believe. I'm gonna double check that real quick. March 17th, yes. However, the map plays like shit. I don't like it. It's a horribly designed map in terms of actual gameplay, at least depending on what killer you're playing. For Survivor, it's a very strong Survivor-sided map, so it's very easy to do things on there. But the way they're gonna play this on killer is there is typically 2 gens that spawn in the little park or market area. So you take those 2 gens, you take a gen in the street that typically spawns, and you camp that 3 gen. Going anywhere else on the map makes you lose. There are a lot of doorways to enter over and over and over again for survivors that let you easily chain pallets as well as lose the killer. Scratch marks are still noticeably bugged in terms of where they spawn in, as well as not showing up on grass for other maps. So they're known to bug out at doorways, causing issues. And if someone runs the perk lightweight, it's very easy to lose them. Stealthing on this map in general is just going to be very strong due to how it's designed. And I don't like stealthing. I think it's really boring to go against. I'm not excited for it. If you are a hitbox killer or a range killer that isn't Trickster, if someone's inside those buildings, you don't really have a lot of opportunities to use your power, which is, you know, the most fun part about playing killer is using their power. And if you are playing those killers on this map, you just don't get to use it outside of the park section, which isn't that fun. Noticeably, even if your power does work on this map, every single building has at least one god window or god palette. Some of them have both. So you basically need Bamboozle for this map, or you need to heavily not use your power just to get Bloodlust and maybe get a hit. Of course, the average Survivor player isn't that good at this game, so it's not going to be that noticeable until you get that good team or until people properly learn the map. But as someone with about 9.5k hours, I'm able to already pinpoint the loops that are overly strong, and I have no faith that these will get removed because I talked about Forgotten Ruins. That video's still up when it first launched, and they didn't change that tile at all. There's still a god window on Forgotten Ruins. I don't think people know about that. The one in the library, yeah, you can just vault that endlessly if the killer is 4.6 non-chase, which you can do without fixated or just walking normally if you're good with shift tech. That map still exists, but also Forgotten Ruins is one of the most killer deadly maps in the game because you just stay at the top and you don't go into the dungeon, so it's not an issue. I just have a very strong feeling that this map is going to play very similar to Forgotten Ruins, where it's a very killers stay in one section, the map ends in that section. I don't think it's going to be interesting to play. Again, great aesthetic, terrible gameplay. If you personally enjoy the map, that's fine. I have had a few people say that they like it. Those same people also like RPD. So I take their opinion with a heavy, heavy, heavy dose of salt, because that map is abysmal and is the worst one in the game. So pick your poison. Also, adding in a separate recording, the map is also just not Korean at all. It is the most Japanese looking map we have in terms of modernity for a Japanese style map. Even like if you read any of the YouTube comments, or if you go onto Twitter and you see like Korean translated tweets about it, they all hate the map. The text is bad, it's not correctly, it's like it's like if we use Comic Sans font for an American map. It's not doing great. It doesn't look like Korea. And if this is like a behavior just has this thing for any map that isn't American or Japanese, they just can't make for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's really, really frustrating. I just want to air this out a little bit. I know not everyone cares about representation. I do, personally. So I would really like if Behavior could actually release a map that is, you know, from Korea. Hopefully they change that onwards to the rest of what I already recorded. Maybe I mentioned this, I kind of forgot. Otherwise, the Trickster changes. I didn't really play this character before, and I won't play him after. They didn't address any pain point of the survivor. It is still a slowly dwindle you down until you die. Because he's not really punished because he has to hit you so many times. So he's not interesting, but they did make him more skillful to play, and they made him weaker, so no one's gonna really play him. Tribute Trickster as a weaker version of Twins, where Twins is, when you get them, really boring and really strong. Trickster, when you get him, is going to be really boring, but really weak, so you win. Again, there's a few killers in the game like this for me. It's not the first one. It's not going to be the last one that they release or change into something. So if you are an old Trickster player who played before his initial rework, you will enjoy this new version. And if you currently play him, you will probably enjoy the more knife focus instead of walk you down gameplay that this rework quote-unquote brings. The whole style system at the top just doesn't matter, by the way, so I'm not going to mention it. It's there. It's a thing. I will say they added lobby animations and load-in animation, which looks really cool with the bat spinning. It's doing the stupid, like, oh, spin bat in hand. I like that. It's just silly, and I think it's cool. The laughing when he gets to S rank, though, it's really obnoxious. He goes, and it's just like, as a survivor, it's like, I'm already focusing on chasing, and as killer, especially on the new map, I'm like, oh, I need to pay attention to where the survivor goes. And then I'm trying to do that, and then I hear from Trickster, and I'm like, please shut up. I don't care. So I'm not an overly huge fan of that part either. But otherwise, I'm not going to touch add-ons because I don't know enough about the character to really judge them. But for the most part, I just don't like Trickster, but the changes are fine. I'm going to leave it at that. The new survivor, I forgot his name. I am looking at his name. Tae-young. He's okay. I like his design. I tend to like the more skinny survivors. My least favorite survivor in the game is David. I think he's ugly and he's British, so I don't like him very much, and every single one of his perks are problematic or were problematic in some way. But I really like survivors like Hinato and as well as the new guy. His base cosmetic is very simple. I like that. I like just basic clothing on survivors. And then his cosmetics that you can purchase look pretty more unique and more, you can mix match a bit more, and I think he has a good design. I didn't read his bio. I typically read bios when they launch, so I can't say anything about that, but this guy also has a fully done webtoon that's slowly releasing, so kind of different in that regard, and I kind of want to watch through the webtoon instead of reading the bio, so I think I'll wait until the webtoon's finished, then actually read the lore. But of course, with a new survivor, there's 3 new perks, and they range from, well, they don't range from anything, they're just good. Like, he doesn't have a bad perk. Flow State, I would compare most to Fire Up, but Flow State, whenever a gen is completed, gain a token. For each token, you cleanse and bless totems, heal, and unhook survivors 10% faster. This perk's really good. I don't really know why anyone would say it's not, unless you haven't ran No One Left Behind before, but a 50% unhook speed in-game, or just a faster unhook speed midway through, is really, really strong for against a killer that's camping. Depending on what killer it is with certain add-ons or whatever, you can actually, this denies hook trades. Those don't exist anymore. So that's why this perk will probably be ran. If you think you're gonna get camping killers and you don't want to run reassurance to just leave a survivor on hook and you want to get that trade, you can do this without major penalty. So it basically makes basement weaker, and it makes camping in general weaker, which is really good for survivors in. A place for us is when you're healing another survivor, you both get elusive. If they're the obsession, they gain elusive for 30 extra seconds, and you are less likely to be the obsession. This is better bite the bullet. Bite the bullet mutes your sound when you're healing. Elusive does everything except that, where it hides your aura, scratch marks, and blood. Realistically, if you're healing and the killer's right next to you, they already know you're there, so it's up for the killer to not find you, and it perfectly counters Nurse's Calling, which has existed in the game since 2016, so... This perk's fine, it's good for stealth, it's a nice niche perk in case the killer's aura reading and you want to get a reset off, it's good to counter barbecue after they unhook if you need to get a reset in with your team, no problems there. And now for the perk that you will see in every single match, 5 moves ahead. When you are in the killer's terror radius or chased by the killer, you see the auras of the 5 closest pallets and windows and you drop pallets 50% faster. Whenever you drop a pallet, there's a cooldown, 20-second cooldown. They change perk descriptions. I'm like, this reads horribly for an actual video. 5 moves ahead, which I will most likely start calling just 5 for the time being, is going to be like Finesse, where initially people run it and then they realize how good it is a little bit later, and then it's in every single game. This counters every single killer that can hit you over a pallet. Huntress, Nemesis, Deathslinger, more off the top of my head that I'm forgetting. Every single one of them hit over pallets. This lets you move out of the way just a little bit faster, and that little bit faster lets you dodge hits, especially depending on add-ons or whatever the killer may have. This also makes 50-50s 80-20s, because if you miss the 50-50, but then you have Finesse, this lets you have enough time to then vault over the pallet and the killer will miss. So now a full build that doesn't get countered by anti-exhaustion is Fixated, Finesse, 5 moves ahead, and Resilience. That is going to be a very, very strong looping build. Granted, having 4 looping perks is not always the best idea, but that is going to be overly strong. And I do mean overly strong. Now, obviously, this could be nerfed pretty easily. Make it turn off when you're exhausted. This is something that Iron Will has. It's something that a Finesse and 5 moves ahead needs. Both of them need the ability for killers to turn them off by running exhaustion perks or add-ons. That's how metas work. My killer Huntress, for instance, has an add-on that makes people exhausted when I hit them. I would really, really love if I had a reason to run that, especially for things like this, because it's useless against sprint bursts and against other exhaustion. It's not that good, but against, if I could turn off Finesse and 5 moves ahead, or at least 5 moves ahead, I would probably end up running that because that's pretty major. They also just don't need the windows of opportunity. You see the auras of the 5 closest pallets and windows. Why? Just why? Like, Finesse doesn't show you the, like, auras of pallets and windows. This perk definitely doesn't need to. Dropping pallets 50% faster is so good, and it doesn't need a micro adjustment just because you're removing that aspect of it. That part is fine. That's it for the major update, or at least everything I really want to talk about. Henry got some changes. There was a nerf of the Woodbreaker timer from 60 to 50 seconds. Nothing overly major, he feels fine. Ghoul got nerfed, or kinda. He got like side graded. He's fine. There's a difference in description between special and normal actions. So like Billy's chainsaw is now a special break, but if he presses spacebar or whatever to kick it with his foot, it's a normal break. This currently has no gameplay changes, but so if you read like the Spirit Fury and Bamboozled, they'll be like when you normal vault or whatever, but that doesn't actually change what the perks currently do. This is most likely a setup to do that during the 10th anniversary update, or at least an update later down the line for a major meta change. We'll see what happens with that. I would keep an eye out, but currently like Eerie, Pen, Legion, or whatever still works, so don't worry about that. Fog Vials got buffs, they're fine. I faced a Trapper on PTB. I don't know why they're playing Trapper. That part was fine. It worked against us because he had undetectable add-ons that came out through the smoke that different survivor dropped with like lingering add-ons for time, and he downed me, and it was like, oh, that worked against us. That's actually kind of neat. So it's a bit of an interesting item now. I'm sure it'll get some more usage. Better Together, Fast Track, Self-Preservation, and Unbreakable all got changes. Unbreakable no longer works with Plot Twist, that's it. Better Together doesn't work with Plot Twist, that's it. Fast Track, they quote it as a rework, but it does the exact same thing as it did previously. There's just a cap to how many tokens you can hold, so they didn't change anything. And then Self-Preservation got fully reworked to when you unhook another survivor, you gain elusive for 30 seconds. I just think this is boring. I like the old version more, and I wish they would revert it. I think it was more interesting in terms of stealthing for saves, stealthing for flashlight saves, or anything of that matter. So I'm not a fan of this rework. I don't want it to go through. I think this should just be a different perk, or even no, not babysitter. That doesn't make sense thematically. But this should just be a different perk. They shouldn't have to rework self-preservation for it. There's also 5 killer changes, genetic limits, force hesitation, and terminus all just got like baseline changes of making them more clear on how they activate. Force hesi no longer works plot twist, for instance. Pop Goes the Weasel got buffed to 15%, but it is just of progress. There's no more percentage or whatever, it is just 15% base. This is what it was ages ago, so it's nice to see Pop back to it's almost full strength. It won't ever go back to the 25% it was, but 15 is a nice area. It's about a pain res, so happy to see Pop back. And then Hex Crowd Control got buffed to let killers basic vault blocked windows 15% faster, and you see the auras of blocked windows within 24 meters. That's fine, no one cares. No one ran that anyway, no one will run it after, except maybe Bubba, because if you vault the same window, well, now I'm thinking about it, you can bam a window if the survivor hasn't vaulted it yet, turn around and then vault even faster with Superior Anatomy, Bamboozle, and Crowd Control. So that actually sounds pretty fun, and Dark Arrogance actually. So maybe you can get some busted vault speed build. I am going to cycle back around to the basic break stuff. There are going to be a bunch of killer description changes. Again, I want to reiterate that does not change how the perks work. Turn Back the Clock, Dissolution, Call It Brine, Pain Res, they will all work the same. It's just their descriptions. If you see in the next update for the 9.6.0 PTB, if you see something in there listed, then it is changed. But as of 9.5.0, which is March, which will release in March of 2026, and next update won't release till May, don't worry, it's fine. You can now customize auras, which is just a good change. I have no notes on it. They added P100 rewards, or P25, 50, 75, and 100 rewards. These are basic, they're just badges that you can quote-unquote level up by prestiging. This hints to me that they're going to rework the prestige system again, because if you click on the prestige icon, it's like a track. And the way that Apex Legends does, like, they have this thing called Weapon Mastery, and when you rank up that weapon by using it, which for DBD is just blood points, but they could change that. It is a Weapon Mastery that you upgrade by using it, or if we swap it DBD terms, playing the killer or survivor, it will unlock stuff. They have the track shows right now the perk teachables, bloody outfit, and then the badge. To me, this says that they're going to add more stuff during 10th year or after to make players want to play other characters by leveling them up. I personally think adding a evolving skin similar to Apex Legends, like mythic skins, would be a really cool idea. I think if they tie that into reworking prestiges into actually playing as the character, I think that would be really cool. Of course, if this change goes through, I think they should refund a bunch of blood points if you already have a P100, but with their stat website, they can track your hours. So I have about 10,000 matches played on Huntress according to that, or like I'm nearing like halfway, like 500 matches off of 10k. So using that, I would automatically be a P100 Huntress. So I wouldn't get any blood points refunded. But like my Billy, for instance, is my 3rd most played killer, my 2nd most played, but I don't have nearly that many matches played. So maybe I'm only P90, and then I get refunded some blood points for the other 10 prestiges that I can then use in whatever they change blood points to. That is my expectation for the year 10 anniversary. I could be wrong, it could be something later, this could not happen at all, but so take it with salt. But I am assuming from this and a bug recently of perks and items saying this no longer appears in the blood web, and that being a universal thing, I am assuming that we are getting some grind changes very, very soon. Again, this is speculation. I normally don't make speculation stuff, but this is my personal thing. I've been saying it on stream for a bit, so this kind of just solidifies it more. Again, very happy we have P100 things. In the PTB, the Resident Evil characters currently do not have any, but the devs have stated in other places that they are going to have stuff on release, so don't worry about that if you are worried about it. Otherwise, I am probably going to P25 every character, most likely starting with V. because oh my god, she looks freaky. And then for the reason my title and thumbnail is what it is, Trickster is back into a state that its mains really like. Oh my god, why did my throat start doing this? Okay, now I feel a lot better. Holy shit. So, Trickster is now in a state that people really like. However, Wesker had a lot of, he got basically his entire base code reworked. And I know this doesn't mean a lot to anybody, but if you currently play Wesker, and I believe he's in the top 10 most played according to Behavior themselves, you are going to struggle and be really fucking annoyed when this chapter comes out. They have reduced the amount, the way that they did it is that you can no longer launch yourself off hills. That's annoying. You can no longer instantly use your second dash. There is a small input delay. That's really annoying. They lowered the amount of momentum he gets when bouncing into a wall, so you can no longer bounce into a wall, turn around, and then gain a little bit distance. That's no longer a thing. They removed the insta flicks where you can use your power then instantly go into the second dash because of that delay I already mentioned. Basically, every single fun, high skill ceiling thing on Wesker that made people want to put time into the character and learn him is no longer a thing. Now, this could not go to live, hypothetically. However, Behavior has this obsession, for whatever reason, of removing skill ceiling from this game. It is something that me and a lot of other veterans are really tired of. Flashlights used to require timing. There's killers used to have this thing called light burn with flashlights that made chases more dynamic. There used to not be, shockingly, invisible walls on every single bit of elevation, so you could actually launch yourself as killers, and then they kept adding invisible walls. Oni flicks used to be hard, and Light used to have a thing called HUD teching, and things like that. And now, Wesker is getting hit next. Hate to end this video on a sour note, but I would really appreciate if Behavior doesn't make this go live. I understand if they do, because it quote-unquote looks buggy, but again, at the end of the day, no matter what I want to say, this is a video game and your players have found something they enjoy. Let's not rob that from them, okay? Of course, I don't work at Behavior. If I did, Devotion would grant bonus blood points. Oh my god, what? Is that a segue to go click on a video I made 4 years ago and is edited like trash? Yeah, baby, go fucking watch that.